Hey everybody, Texas Stroker here, Lance's Performance Shop, Mopars.com. It is Tuesday night. I got home from work, and it was one of those days where I don't eat lunch until like 3. And so when I get home relatively early, around 6 o'clock, I'm not hungry. And subsequently, here we are. So gotta get inside pretty quick, because a new episode of The Curse of Oak Island today. That's pretty much the only TV show I watch outside of like automotive stuff. So didn't have a new episode last week, do this time. I'm gonna try to prioritize it, and I'll probably make Dinner of Champions a bowl of SpaghettiOs. So where we left off over here, I've been doing a lot of stuff over there, doing some new stuff from Harbor Freight, all kinds of upgrades and goings-ons in the shop. And these beautiful things right here are my weapon of choice for the 3/8 drive socket upgrades. SAE, that is, they're SK. Fittingly, as soon as we come out here and get going, we get the text rolling in again. Never fails. So, what would make sense here, right? You went with SK, you know, and these were literally the last ones on the HJE website. When I made this video, since it was all SK, I was like, do we do HJE Tool Haul too, or do we make it an SK Tool Haul? Because it's kind of both. Currently, you cannot buy from SK. Great Star bought them out, and if you did not know, if you haven't been to the website in a long time, they're like totally revamping it. You can browse it, but they're not like shipping orders. I think January 10th is the date that they are going to be back functional, supposedly. But way lower prices than that can be found at HJE. We'll have the links down below, as we always do for you. Also, Alpha Gloves link, you save 20%. I make nothing off of that. I do it so you get gloves that are actually good. So, back to this. Closeout prices on everything SK at HJE, and this was the last set, and I did not want to let it go. It was one of those things. I have used the half of the 9/16 once. You can't even tell. This was like a couple nights ago, so you know, nothing dramatic or crazy. It's just still a pristine socket set there. And so if you're thinking like, well, you know, if you went in and you picked SK because it was like cheap on blowout closeout and you're kind of partial to it, that's probably what you did for quarter drive, right? This is going to be the same video, but with quarter drive. Well, you would be a smart man or woman right there, because here we have SK. And if you can tell by the profile being a little bit smaller, or the part number if you're a super fan, 4911, that is SK's quarter drive SAE Socket Set. There's 10 to this set. And the price point, if I can find it, I love that HJE actually sends a packing list with the prices. Not necessarily great for everyone, but if you're doing videos, that's like a godsend. It saves me all these extra steps and tracking stuff down that may or may not be on a website or gone up since you bought it. Price point, $85.43. Not gonna lie, that's kind of steep. A lot of you know, if you're like tool truck people, or you know, you're hardcore, you know, German, it's like, well, that's actually pretty cheap. And it really is a decent price. Again, this isn't, I'm not coming in trying to get the cheapest thing imaginable. I'm not trying to find like the super deal where it's kind of a good socket but a really great price and you compromise and meet in the middle. This is something where, based on my past experience with SK and the initial impressions there, I feel very good about this being my quarter drive socket set of choice. So, part number is 4911. I, true story, do not remember the actual size ranges here, aside from one side, and it's something that I would do a little different. But we need to open it up and take a look at it so I can tell you what's actually included. This one, that was a package deal. It wasn't like I bought the shallow and the deep. That was a set of the shallow and the deep, and it legitimately was the last thing that they showed on their website. This, I want to say there was like a few, and when I say a few, I don't mean like 212, I mean like 6, 3, somewhere in that range. Small chance this would still be available. I'll link it if it's still on the site when I get around to editing this, so you can cash in on it if you would like to. But again, you've got 4, you got 3, you got 3, that makes 10. So again, my biggest complaint on the SK sockets is just the way they do this. It's kind of cumbersome finding the sizes. So we, starting here, have 3/16. And I'm just going to hold this up here. You can enjoy looking at the glorious 3/8 drive ones down there. So we got 3/16, 7/32, quarter. Every single one of these so far has been oriented differently. Then we're going to jump to 9/32. Then we've got 5/16. I actually do use that some. Then we've got 11/32. We're going to come in. We've got 3/8. That's going to be a hot commodity here. 7/16. Half. And get this. Are you sitting down? You're like, okay, have you read them all? Like, what's the story? Are they 6 point, 12 point? Looks like 6 point. What's the excitement here? 9/16. I love it. Typically, you know, like you think of what's the limit of a quarter drive ratchet, and you would probably think like, oh, 7/16. You know, that's probably where you'd stop, half inch maybe. I like the 9/16 because there's some situations where you want the smaller profile of quarter drive. It's just advantageous, right? The drive size here for your fastener is going to be the same, but then down here, if you're going quarter versus 3/8, it has to be bigger, right? So, the fact that this goes to 9/16 is awesome. Speaking of 9/16, it is the easiest socket of this rail for you to see and visualize things with. That's exactly why we're going to take advantage of it. Beautiful chrome luster, the SK Super Chrome 9/16. Again, when they have these on the rail, they don't like take the time to orient all of these in the same. It doesn't have to necessarily face out perfectly. And in fact, that's hard to do. But, you know, like if this one is facing straight out, then, you know, your half inch is turned 90 degrees in against another socket. And then the 7/16 is 180 degrees from this one. And then your 3/8 is spun around. You get the idea. So you can tweak this and at least line it up so you kind of see the sizes, which is kind of important, right? Especially on a new set you're not familiar with. But 9/16, then we've got the SK, and of course, made in the USA. So once again, do I prefer matte chrome? I actually do. But as I've always said, if you're going chrome, you got to do it right. And SK usually does. We've had some real duds. Like those half moon wrenches, those straight up were shameful in terms of the chrome on them. These are not. These are fantastic. They are of the same quote. What's that? Speaking too soon, I guess. Kind of have some weird wear here. You would expect this, you know, like if I had used this already or something. It's not a huge deal, but it's just not a uniform coating. I don't know why. I mean, like, preceding up to this, when I gathered everything, I didn't have any text coming in. As soon as you start recording, this is what you get. But it's that little mess in there. It's like you've got that sort of finish out. I'm no expert on these, you know, but you have like the chrome of the exterior, and then it's like that little strip here has chrome, and then there's kind of like the matter finish that matches sort of like the coating on the inside, and it's just missing there or chipped off, which I assume one of those two happened in production, because all we've done is cut it open with a Cutix there. Same thing over here. All that aside, exterior-wise, these look phenomenal. Interior-wise, you can nitpick them and find a few things. Again, it's not a huge deal. This is a 6-point socket. Do I prefer 12? I kind of do for chromes, but they didn't have anything, so I went 6, and that's fine. And then that way, if I want to grab 12-point sets, we can go a different route, which is super exciting. That's what I like doing, trying things out, right? Or if we happen to love these in the meantime, waiting for a deal, if SK fires back up production, we get decent prices, who knows, maybe we'll have some 12-point SKs. But just like we've been lecturing on with all the impact sockets we've been opening up and everything, that drive right there, where our fastener would come in this case, you know, 3/8, you know, bolt, nut, whatever it might be, it's not completely, you know, square like it used to be. There's that little recess. That, of course, will allow you to not round the fastener off as quickly. You should be applying pressure from the flats that way, and that is a good thing. So that's about it. That is the quarter drive size right here, and what we need to do now is pair this. And you're thinking like, okay, hey, you don't have you have that LP90, but that's 3/8 drive. You have some SK adapter. Maybe, maybe not, but what we do have is right here. This was something from the last Steals and Deals. I so wish I would have bought more. Truly speaking, the SK LP90, the 3/8 one, that is my favorite bare-handled 3/8 drive ratchet. I tend to prefer the comfort grip, but in terms of bare handles, I love that one. What's special about this one? It's a flex set. Unlike the Matco, this one works. But to be fair, there's no locking mechanism on the flex here. I've kind of wondered secretly if it's not the black chrome that they applied and it just changes the tolerances ever so slightly, and then that's why, like, as I've used it and it's chipped away, you know, I've got like 2 positions I'm frequently in and locking. I kind of think that might be the trick there. And speaking of that, I really, several of you recommended AMS Auto. Is it AMS, ASM? I know the logo and the name, but I can't alphabetically guarantee the accuracy of that. But his recommendation on the Matco 5K haul was to get the quarter drive, of course 3/8 first and then quarter drive, but the really long one. I thought that was a great idea. I strongly considered it. I held off only, number one, those things are super expensive by my standards. And I wasn't sure if I was going to like it, so I thought if we came back to it, it would be a good place to go. Obviously, the first impression mixed, because there's a lot to love, but kind of a big thing when the locking mechanism doesn't function right. But what I'm getting at is I am considering still doing that. Part of me says get chrome and it might work, but part of me says, man, I'd really like to do black chrome again because I love that aesthetic. So if you have thoughts on that, feel free to chime in. Fitment here, though, that's what's important. Really, really good, as you would expect, being the same manufacturer. What we have to kind of throw you for a loop here is, of course, some German counterparts. Currently, we don't have a Japanese quarter drive available. So what do we have here? Just a little bit more in play. I've noticed Hazet, very, very, very finite precision on their own sockets, and kind of a little bit of a lag on others, but I don't think that's Hazet's fault. I don't think it's necessarily SK either. But right here, this is my newest Hazet quarter drive. Fit fine there. And my Stahlwille padded handle, that's actually in the kit in the truck, passenger seat in fact, but my first ever Stahlwille ratchet was in fact this little guy because it was like dirt cheap tool of the day. That's pretty loose too, but again, shouldn't impact anything terribly bad. And I've got to say, this and the 3/8 Stahlwille, really, really like him. The 1/2 inch, it's just never quite, like, these are really good. And that one's just never really broken and kind of followed suit. But this is it. This is what I picked up. This is my SK quarter drive Deep Socket Set. Now, part of me debated what to do here. Do I stop here and we have another SK Tool Haul? Do we continue on? And you know what? Always expect the unexpected sometimes on this channel. Not usually, but enough of the times that you truly never know what's going to happen. So in the background, you should hear the sweet sound of the Cuttix going at some plastic wrap. The reason that what I'm about to drop down here, right here on a red rail, is not on a cheap rail, which I can't knock because I personally use them still at this point in my life, is not SK, is it was not available. It was sold out. It was gone. It was not a thing. And therefore, I could not possibly procure said item. So if you're thinking like, well, you know, you must have gone Stahlwille, or did you do Hazet? You know, that would be a logical choice, right? Yeah, real logical choices. Koken, seem to have a lot of Koken stuff, right? Well, yeah, have that too. But what I have done instead, again, keep in mind what I told you in the previous SK video, and now this one with HJE. I like doing old school Americana here. And what do I have positive reinforcements from the past with SK? What's another brand from the past that I use at work and don't really have any complaints with? Well, if you thought Wright Tool, you would be 100% correct. Not that you could see it, but right there. This is SAE quarter drive railed set, 10 pieces. So there she blows. And Wright, I have a lot of experience with. It's really old stuff. More of it is around than the SK still. Most of the wrenches at work are like SK Wayne. The chrome is not near what it once was, obviously. But they're still there. They're still in use. They've held up. That means they don't suck. That means I like them, right? So, same thing with Wright. The most recent Wright, and I don't know when it originated. It would have been predating my time doing purchasing. there's just one. It's bizarre. It's for the 3H drive air ratchet. There's one part we do in the shop for some assembly work, and we run a ton of 1/4-20 fasteners, 3/4, 1 inch, 1.25 inch, all three, doesn't matter. And what do you need when you're running 1/4 inch hardware? Well, you need a 7/16 socket. The air ratchet back there is equipped, and it rarely comes off because it's so predominantly used with one 7/16 Wright impact socket. I don't know if there was ever a set. I don't know. I assume it was purchased standalone type of a thing. I've never seen the rest of the set. I've never seen a backup to this 7/16, but I know that it's a Wright impact, and I know that I've used that thing a ton, and it's still there. Like I said, it rarely leaves the ratchet, and that creates what a positive impression. The Wright wrenches we have are like real old. Again, my favorite wrench at work, I'm not gonna lie, it's the Proto Challenger. Just super for full-on smooth chrome Americana. Like those are legit. Don't know the vintage of those. I'd guess like 80s, 90s, early 90s, somewhere in there. Could totally be wrong. I was a little kid at the time, so you know, I don't want to speak too far on what I'm not 100% on. But that's why I decided to roll the dice. We were going old school Americana here with SK, which, like I said, there are never going to be any more sets of these produced at the former plants. Chicago could spit them out. They could be improved. They could be amazing. They could be cheaper. I could regret purchasing these. I don't know that, but what I know is these will fall into the category of old school SK now because, again, they've changed locations. They're under the ownership of Greatstar. Same thing here. So a little bit of nostalgia, a little bit of the past comes in, sort of, you know, predicates my purchase. And since there was no way for me to replicate this, obviously I would have loved to have just done SK, 1/4 drive, 6-point shallow, but I couldn't. It's not available. There's nowhere for me to get it and match the vintage, if you will. We could wait and see what Chicago puts out, but I'm not huge on, I don't have to have like match sets. I don't have to have everything, you know, be the same brand type of a deal, right? If I like it, I like it, and that's what matters to me. That's where these come in. So I've never used Wright. Actually, oh man, the little metal cases, I think it's Armstrong, and then SK is the bigger one. There's probably more Wright that I've used than I realize, but I'm excited to utilize these suckers. We have 5/32, 3/16, 7/32. They're pulling SK stuff on me. 1/4. We've got 9/32. We have 5/16. We've got 11/32. We've got 3/8. We've got 7/16, and we've got half. So what went wrong here? How do we have 10 pieces and we end up on 9/16 with the SK and we don't with the Wright? Well, let me line it up like this for you. All right. So will this be advantageous to me or not? I don't know. Pay attention to this side of the rail. Our Wright shallows are going to end at 1/2 inch. Our SK ends at 9/16. So going back down this direction to the left, what do we have here? Well, if we match up our 3/8 on this side, I'm sorry, it says 3/16, I should say. That is where our SKs start. Wright goes down to 5/32. So we're sort of almost the best of both worlds. It depends if this is like recessed, you know, and we needed a deeper, and then if this 9/16 deep is too long and we wish we had it in a stubby size, right, short size. But it is nice to kind of have pretty much the same set, just +1 on the small size, +1 on the big size. It sort of makes sense as well. So what I want to do is grab the 1/2 inch because it's the biggest that we've got. Let's take a look at this rail. It looks very similar like the Ernst design, where that might like tap into a socket boss or tray type of a deal. We'll hopefully be able to get this off without any adhesive residue. The pegs here I think will be slidable. They should be slidable. It's not quite like the Ernst rail because it doesn't have the positive clicks all along the way. But this actually has a little detent on it. So it's not a twist lock or anything. It's just kind of like the anvil on your actual ratchet. So will that be its forever home? I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. But let's take the best look we can at this little guy. Pretty nice chrome right there. You've got the Wright Grip USA. We got the 1/2-inch drive size. Spinning her around, we'll get back to the stamping. Right here at the top, it pretty much matches SK. I'm not gonna lie, the finish out seems to be a bit more consistent, I would say, just based on this one socket comparison. And then of course right there on our drive size, we've got this. I've noticed on some stuff I've brought in, there's like a little, I don't know if it's like issues in the chrome, or if that'll like polish out or rub off, or if it's just like oil or something that, you know, dried over time. I'm gonna see if I can't clean that up a little bit, but what we're really concerned about is a direct comparison. Let's grab this 1/2-inch from SK and come on. It's a lot for the camera to take in there. So here they are side by side, 1/2-inch versus 1/2-inch. Again, both fairly thin. It looks like the SK, like if you're using this as like a nut cup type of a deal, fastener's way more up at the top. This one has a little bit more of a depth to it. There's pros and cons to both ways. It kind of depends on what you're doing. And inevitably, you'll probably wish you had or prefer the style that you currently don't have available at that point in time. But both are very, very good condition. Again, you can nitpick them to death, spinning around to the backside. Chamfered, I'd say the SK a bit more aggressive of a chamfer. I personally kind of prefer that. So let's take the Wright and we're going to put it on the SK. See what we get into. That's really good there. Let's go ahead and back this out for you. Such a good little ratchet, man. I wish I would have bought more of those. You know, at the time I was like trying to be thrifty and just get kind of things that I need or that would diversify, and I regret that. Totally regret that. That is a super nice fit on the Stahlwille. It'll be interesting here on the Hazet. Let's see how this kind of mates up. Good stuff. Right, I would say across the board of these three ratchets fits a bit better than the SK. Not that it's a huge deal. They're going to go on and spin. It's not like there's any detriment there. Now, what we need to do is make some comparisons. So I have sitting somewhere that here it is. My Craftsman quarter drive deep. As you guessed, it follows suit with what we had with 3/8. I've got a few deep, and they were all 6-point. So let's compare that directly. I believe this is 1/2-inch, so that works out super well. It's pretty much spot on, right? So kind of like, this is US Craftsman, by the way, so it's probably Western Forge. Really, really similar sockets, are they not? I must say, it sure looks that way. Now, pay attention here, because this SK, note like I said with the broaching there, it's kind of a deal. If we dropped a nut down in here, it's going to stop right here. And so if I just had a, you know, the tip of a toothpick or something, I could extract that. If we drop that down into this Craftsman, woo, it's going down the hole, right? So, pros and cons both ways, but that does make me kind of feel a little better, because otherwise I would have purchased basically the same thing I had, but with a considerably nicer and not used chrome finish on it. So, but size-wise, pretty much identical, minus the interiors. Looking at the broaching, I'd say they're about the same aggressiveness, which again, I prefer. It just locates a little quicker. The chamfer, I should say, sorry. Tend to screw up the words there. In terms, if you're curious, of what Craftsman did in my rally box set with the quarter drive stuff, you're thinking, good lord, that's a lot of sockets. Well, it's not that many. We start, I have mine spun around properly, by the way, so we can easily see. We go 5/32, which I have one of, and it's 6-point. Then we get to 3/16. And so you got a 6-point, 5/32 right here, and then from 3/16 all the way to 1/2-inch. Again, tons of sockets. We go 6-point and 12-point, which was, I have to say, like, I kind of think that's cool personally. Then you can kind of pick your poison. If you had square stock, if you needed, you know, like really, really tight areas, I want 12-point personally. Just have a better, easier time of catching the corners and making a turn, breaking something free, getting it started, whatever, you know, it might be. So that's what I had, and we have now upgraded that, and then I think I had 6 deep sockets. That's it. quarter drive SAE. So we've upgraded to Wright in our shorts, and in our deeps we've got SK coming in here with our Wright 1/2 inch. Let's grab the, if I can get it off my El Cheapo back here without knocking the camera over. That was a holdup, by the way. This is real similar, but again, the Craftsman in this case is actually going to be a bit deeper in the actual socket will. So very interesting there. In terms of height, as you might have guessed based on that, the Craftsman just a little bit taller. They're super, super, super close, but I think the Craftsman just kind of inches it out just ever so slightly. Down here again on the chamfer, Craftsman, just like the SK, way more aggressive. So we've got that going for us. I'm assuming all these texts must be important because they keep coming. But what I want to do now is compare to some of our other quarter drive stuff. So we had them somewhere here. Did they fall? Here they are. We're going to come in. We'll grab the Wera. And again, this is made in Taiwan. People constantly like, well, it's the greatest deal in sockets, Czech Republic. It's just the same as Germany. No, these are Taiwan. They're well done, but they are Taiwan. Right there, this is way more pronounced. It's sort of like more of a modern design, right? Wave drive, flank drive, whatever you want to call it. You know, just designed to grab the flats better. Chamfer on that, really good. Again, take it easy tool finder. That's the big selling point with Wera. But let's compare it here to our brand new Wrights. There you go. Do you prefer matte chrome? Do you prefer shiny, hardcore Americana chrome? Do you like the taper? Take it easy tool finder is a significant perk there. And then the chamfer again, way more pronounced on that. I'm thinking this is like more of an older design on the right, so that might actually, the chamfer part, I will prefer Wera, but the rest of it remains to be seen. Real quickly here, just because we've got them and they're kind of new and I like them. Haven't gotten to use them a ton, but when I have enjoyed them thoroughly because I'm not dropping hardware under the creeper. So, right here, the Koken Nut Grips, the SAE Nut Grips, in fact. Let's take a gander at these beautiful little things. Blackout lifted. Right, there we go. Pretty much, again, the same height. Obviously, total different designs. The Koken, just like the Wera one, way more pronounced, you know, in terms of our grabbing of the fastener. This just blends in part because of the chrome, but also it's not as pronounced. We've got the little bubble, right? I've explained it before, where the hex point is here, and then we bubble out, you know, so the fastener's edge that's hex pointed doesn't catch, and we, you know, again, tighten and loosen by the flats. There we are. Obviously, the nut grip is going to be a little higher up because we've got the two ball detents there with the spring, so we can hold it in. Good chamfer on the Koken. Again, minimalistic on the right, but it is present, which is nice. And what would this really be without grabbing the quarter drive Craftsman? So there is the Wright on the Craftsman. That's a pretty decent fit, I have to say. So ultimately, what's going to need to happen here is I just need time with them. I need to be able to use these, see what I think of them, and that's going to take a lot of time. I did, as bonus items while I'm talking here, grab this guy right here, the greatest quarter drive spinner handle of all time. If you're still on the fence, I highly recommend this one. A little Stahlwille one. Really nice fitment there, really nice with the Wright. We'll come in and grab our big SK. I can tell it's the SK and not the Craftsman again because this one's super shiny versus that one. It sort of looks unique with all this brand new chrome versus old chrome. That's not near as positive of a fit. Let's make sure, yeah, there's recesses on every side. So, and it's not just because it's, you know, longer and I'm wobbling here, like it's easy to tell, like there's a lot of play there. Not the end of the world, could be a bonus in some instances, but to replicate what we just had with the Wright, way, way, way better fitment there. So if that's something you care about, that's why we're showcasing it. Something I love doing with quarter drive sockets, the T-handle. Ah, the beloved Felo T-handle. So we'll come in, we'll go deep right now. And will this clear all valve covers? Who knows? I haven't gotten to experiment with it. That's significantly better fitment with the SK than the Stahlwille. Again, if that matters to you. But let's see how the Wright does. Will it be these pair well, or is it just the tolerances are looser on the Felo and it's gonna mate up super tight with the Wright? That's basically like a direct connection. Like, it's almost as if this is a one-piece tool with the Wright. That is really impressive. So that's kind of my quarter drive tools of choice if I'm doing vertical stuff. Again, I love the T-handles for spinning things down. Obviously, if we need torque, then we move to that direction. But in terms of like valves and, you know, heads and all sorts of overhead, basically, if I'm, car just timed out, but if I'm on top of something coming down, essentially, just like you would be if you're in an engine bay, I really, really do like these. That's why we have them and use them. So this thing, though, the Stahlwille, absolutely love it, even though the fitment there wasn't like ideal. It's so good, and again, I can use it up top if I want to. I oftentimes wind up using an extension on this, but coming in from the side, this thing's super good. So I have several of them in various locations around the shop, and I picked up some as backups, and I think I've given at least 2 as gifts. So that means I'm a fan, or it sucked and I'm offloading it, but I promise I have some, so it means I like them. If I gave them away and I didn't have one of my own, that's when I'm offloading. So yeah, that is about it, man. This is our HJE Tool Haul. We're going to give them some love because we got SK and Wright from the same location. That's kind of rare, right? You'd have to like jump back in time to do that. SK, a lot of you are familiar with. A lot of you probably have some of, whether it's X-frames or the LP90s, or you like the old, you know, round head ratchets that you upgrade, whatever it may be. Wright, not as many people. Why? It's more of like an industrial brand. You don't necessarily, and they don't navigate as well to the tool truck, right? So the reason I'm familiar with it is a lot of our suppliers over the years sell Wright. You know, when they sold SK and Armstrong and all sorts of stuff that I can't get anymore because it's gone. But that's where my experience comes, and again, I am partial to things that have survived the test of time, and I know they've been abused. I tend to take better care of things than a lot of people, and so if something's still around at work, I know it's been abused and it's still there, or it could just be that, you know, the employees throughout time have thought, I really like this one, I'm going to take care of it. And that would have had to have been a consensus across multiple employees, right? So either way, I am a bit of a nostalgia preference there for both SK and Wright. So and true story, these are the first Wright tools I've personally brought in here for the shop, outside of like old, like, ooh, you know, I get drugged to a garage sale and there's a stray socket type of a deal. So nice addition here, and again, basically upgrading the old Craftsman stuff for me. So I can't get rid of the Craftsman stuff. I love it. It's still functional, works great, but this was, it's gone. Like, it's not coming back. Right, you can totally go out and you can get this set. You could order it from your distributor, supplier, wherever it may be local. It's usually like hardware stores, bolt places. I don't know if Fastenal, I would assume Fastenal or Granger, one of them probably deal it if you deal with them frequently. For me, it's always just been like whoever I'm buying like hardware from, you know, so it's worked well. I've always wanted to bring in the Wright grips, you know, the wrenches. Have not done so. I think there's a few, but they're old. It works. I don't know, like, if at what point in time it was like updated. But yeah, it's about time for me to go. It's 7:55, so I'm gonna get inside and make my SpaghettiOs. I don't try to impress you. I am what I am. So if I wanted to make people think I was extravagant and, you know, I was gonna go slaughter, grab a cow out of the pasture and have a fresh steak, nope. Crack the can open and put it in a pot that's questionable because the non-stick surface has been coming off for over a decade now. But I'm not dead yet, so must not be too bad. Something that I hope doesn't die off over the course of a decade is our SK and Wright upgrades. If you've used either one of them, let me know your thoughts. Again, I think there might be a set or two of these left. Obviously, I purchased them several weeks ago at this point in time. And then the Wrights, you know, they're still in production, still cranking these things out. So if you like the looks of them, go to town. A little bit neat that we got the small size and the shallow, and then our deep goes up to the 9/16. So might do some more with that later. The rail is a bonus. Not my color choice, I'm not going to lie. We'll kind of have to see the pegs, well, there's so many stickers on this thing. Let's come in here. They move real freely. You know, there's a little bit of friction resistance is what I would call that. It's not like the Ernst where there's like a ton of detents where it catches, but it is a bonus, so I can't complain too much. Just like these, there's a reason that my Craftsman sockets are on the El Cheapo rails of good quality. Cheap, but good quality. That's the same thing SK has. They ship them out to you on it. You can use them if you want to. You can ditch them if you want to. The fact they're there, I can't really knock it. So I appreciate those things. But with that said, I'm going to get inside. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you learned a little something. Again, I want to have a gut feeling if you really want one of these at the price of $85, they might be available. Again, that's like $8.50 a socket. Right, I don't think we covered the price. My apologies there. You're looking at $56.93, which I thought was like, I was sort of on the fence, like maybe I'll wait and just match SK. And then when I was checking around and I saw that, I was like, that's like $5.60. Like, that's a American-made socketry. Yeah, I'm gonna roll the dice on that. So, Wright and SK and quarter, SK and SK for 3/8. It's fine. It's gonna work out just fine. So, if you have first-hand experience with these of recent batches, let me know. If you're a huge fan from the past or nostalgia, feel free to leave those comments as well. If you think I screwed up and should have just bought Gear Wrench or Tecton or whatever, feel free to leave those comments too. But yeah, fear not, like I say, you know, all the German and Japanese stuff, it ain't going anywhere. We've still got plans, so stay tuned for all that. The big thing though this year, I'm focused on like organization. And there's going to be a lot of that coming up. That's one of the reasons I didn't really need to open these. There's no like pressing need for them, but I wanted to start using them. That's not really the pressing need because we have the Craftsman, but want to start using them. I also want them for testing, trying out organization methods. So I'll be doing some of that. Some of it will probably get recorded and thrown out on the internet for you to enjoy. So with that said, thanks for watching. I'm going to get inside, see if they find some treasure on the Curse of Oak Island. But you know what? If they didn't, we got some treasure here with some SK closeouts and a really good price on some Wright tools. So stay tuned for more. Most importantly, I hope you have yourself a fantastic Saturday. LoneStarMopars.com is a website. You can find us Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all three at Lone Star Mopars. With that said, have a great weekend. I hope I catch you back here next weekend for more from the shop.